Do you agree that they're not going to be very good next year regardless?
Yeah.
Like,
AJ Green's going to be gone. Andy Dalton will be gone. They won't really. Tyler Boyd is their only really number one option. Tyler Eifert hasn't been the same since he's had his injury. Joe Mixon isn't really that great. Yeah.
So you think there's a scenario where next year they're also potentially picking in the top of the draft?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume so. Yes.
If you are the Cininnati Bengals, do you trade the first overall pick this year and go after Trevor Lawrence next season? And hear me out on this.
Yeah.
You trade out of the first overall pick. This is a hot ticket pick this year. This year, next year are hot ticket picks at first overall. This year you get Joe Burrow, who won the Heisman and the national championship. Next year you have Trevor Lawrence, who I've heard people talk about as the greatest college quarterback ever possibly. That has been said about him. He was 25-0 until last night. I believe next year Clemson will win the national championship with him as the quarterback. That is my prediction.
Yeah.
Could Cincinnati trade out of that pick this year? Say Miami, say the Chargers, or the Raiders. Like we'll just name a few teams, just to name a few teams. Could they trade out of that pick, acquire a first-round pick this year, potentially a first-round pick next year maybe, and maybe extra draft picks on top of that, say a second here, a third there, a fourth there, multiple draft picks, and maybe prefer Trevor Lawrence next year in the draft? And while they prefer Trevor Lawrence in the draft, if they get the first overall pick, they could identify wide receiver, tight end, O-line, defense, the secondary. Could you see that scenario happening? If I'm Cincinnati, I at least consider it. Like you said, I think Joe Burrow's the lock at first overall pick. I don't know if he elevates the Bengals far enough to the point where he has to overcome everything else around it. Because like you just said, there are a lot of question marks in that organization. They could trade out of that pick and identify all of that while chasing Trevor Lawrence next year in the draft. He is going to be the locked first overall pick next year. I'm not listening to a Tua argument again for next year.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of hard to like if I was the Bengals, I would be like, first of all, the minimum were like, if you're calling me a trade, you're giving me the San Francisco, the Chicago offer for to get Trubisky. You're giving me that offer. That's where we're starting.
That's where we're minimum. Starting. You need.
That's where we're starting. Plus. That's where we're starting, and it's going up from there. Just letting you know, like that's the base, and like we'll negotiate from there. And it's hard because like if you like say they address a lot of needs, right? The team becomes a little bit better. They don't finish 2-14, or was it 1-15?
2-14. They beat
2-14. Yeah, that's right. 2-14. Well, if you go 3-13 and you have a team that goes 2-14, you have the number 2 overall pick, and Trevor Lawrence goes number 1. Or it's just like if it's another quarterback needy team, which usually the teams that finish dead last are quarterback needy teams. It's very rare that you get a team that has a quarterback that got injured and finished dead last in the league, or has a quarterback and there's just so many injuries everywhere else that they finished dead last in the league. Yeah. Usually those teams need quarterbacks, and it's very hard for me to believe that you can bank on the Bengals. They're like, I know the Browns did it, where they were 0-16 and 1-15, but like, it's just, I don't know. I don't believe the Bengals are that bad, like where they'll be Browns bad for 2 years. I think you take the quarterback right now, unless you get blown away with an offer. I'm talking multiple first-round picks. You're getting their first-round pick this year. You're getting second-round pick this year and next year. Like, it would have to be a massive package for someone to take Joe Burrow away from me, or whoever they are taking. And I just don't think it would be the right move for the Bengals to do. I understand your point where you could address multiple positions, but it would have to be a massive package of draft picks for that to work.
Could you not? Okay, so here's the draft order right now. So the Bengals are picking number 1.
Yep.
The Redskins at number 2, they drafted Dwayne Haskins last year. I don't see a scenario where you got the Josh Rose and Kyler Murray situation again.
Yeah.
I think they're going to run. I think Ron Rivera will want to work with Dwayne Haskins. At number 3, the Lions. How set are they on Matthew Stafford long term? I mean, he just got hurt this year. He didn't play a lot of the season. I get that, and they maybe think they could have been better. But could they maybe want to trade out of 3 up to 1 to get Joe Burrow? Would they be willing to trade 2 first-round picks? We don't know. The Giants just drafted Daniel Jones 6th overall last season. Not happening. The Dolphins and the Chargers are at 5 and 6. That's a possibility. The Panthers, I don't know what Carolina's doing. Like the Cam Newton situation, the Kyle Allen situation, that's a weird one to me. I'm not sure if the $70 million coach is going to want to work with Cam Newton or not. We'll see. Cardinals 8, not happening. Browns 10. The Jaguars at 9. I mean, Gardner Minshew is a genuine beauty of a human being in life. And
I love Minshew Mania.
I love Minshew Mania. Absolutely. I don't know what the future holds for Nick Foles. I mean, he was a little banged up this season, so maybe they want to run it back with a healthy Foles. But those are 4 teams in the top 10 that could be quarterback desperate. I think you have to at least entertain the offers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, like Jacksonville's Jalen Ramsey return.
Yeah.
Or, Khalil Mack.
But that's another reason why I just don't think Jacksonville would be that desperate to trade up for Joe Burrow, is because they can draft a lot of positions that they need, positions of need this year. And if they're bad again next year, Trevor Lawrence is right there, So it's just like, so there's a lot of things that like all these other teams have options with. Like Detroit, I really think Detroit's going to bounce back next year. I really do. With Matt Stafford, Patricia has done something to that defense, because they play every game they play in. They played competitively. They almost beat Kansas City this year. Like, they did beat a playoff team. I know it was the Eagles, but like, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who made the playoffs. Like, I know the NFC East was trash, but like, that's besides the point. It was still a playoff team. The Detroit is just like, they haven't had a running back since Barry Sanders. Like, they've had a wide receiver in Calvin Johnson. Matt Stafford has been a good quarterback, and I feel like Matt Stafford is better than Ryan Tannehill, if you ask me. And if you took the same pieces in Tennessee and you put them on Detroit, I think Detroit would be a very good team. So I think the Ford family likes Matt Stafford too much for them to really put a package together. I personally think you eliminate the Jaguars and the Lions. The Dolphins could move up, depending on what their plan is. I know they were in full rebuild mode, but I think they want Tua, so I think
they have a lot of picks.
Yeah, they have a lot of picks. They could do it, but I think like I said, it'd have to be an insane package for that. So I think they're fine there. Chargers. That's the other team that kind of would worry me if I was the Dolphins. If the Bengals called and were like, "Hey, the Chargers are offering us this. Are you going to offer this or come close to it and beat it?" And if they were like, "No," then like the Chargers would be the team I worry about. But like, I just can't see the Bengals trading that pick.
I can see the Dolphins standing pat. They got a lot of draft picks. I'm assuming they're probably thinking they're not going to be good next year either. They might want Trevor Lawrence. I think the Dolphins are heading somewhere, though, man. I think they're heading somewhere. Brian Flores seemed to do something special with that team at the end of last season. I just wonder if they, with all those draft picks that they acquired from even Pittsburgh and Houston, they got a first-round pick from Pittsburgh. They got 2 firsts from Houston, I believe, and they got multiple draft picks on top of that in trades. I just wonder if they look at this situation and goes, look, Joe Burrow might fit our system. He might be good. And if the Bengals want Trevor Lawrence next season, they think they're going to be bad again next season, they could identify a lot of needs this offseason. But like you said, 3-13 or 4-12 probably don't get you the first overall pick. I think 2-14 probably gets you the first overall pick. So if you got that sure thing right now, then maybe this is the guy that you got to go with. Or in your case, maybe you got to draft Tua.
Yeah. You never know, man.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I just think there's.
Were we 100% sure Baker Mayfield was going number 1 overall in that draft? It was Sam Darnold. It was Baker Mayfield. Josh Rosen was in there. Josh Allen. See, like, I thought Darnold was going to the Browns.
I thought Darnold was the best quarterback. I just thought Baker, with his statistics and playing for a great college program, I just thought Cleveland was just going to be too attracted to that, because Cleveland, let's face it, they do some weird things sometimes.
Yeah.
I just thought there was question. I thought there was maybe a couple more question marks with Darnold maybe than there was with Baker, and I thought Cleveland was going to be willing to take the risk on Baker and see what he could do. And I mean, who knows, man? Right now, the only 2 quarterbacks I've been really impressed with from that draft are Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Personally, I haven't really seen anything from the other guys yet that I'm really like, oh, great pick, New York, or great pick, Cleveland.
I don't really blame Darnold necessarily for the Jets' problems, just because it's the Jets and like their defense is really good, but their offense is atrocious.
Oh, I agree,
Yeah.
but he has not really done anything. I know he had mono, and I know he only had his rookie season, but I mean, we're still waiting to see what he is, right? And I mean, mono or injury or not, I mean, we're still waiting to see what he is, and that's going to be. I mean, next year's his year to shine, though. If Brady's out of the division, if he can take that team to a division title, then I'm all in on him.
Mm-hmm.